The year is 2018. We left 2017 with Kendall Jenner saving the world with Pepsi, Despacito was played everywhere, the Nintendo Switch was released, and I'm still a Dragon Ball fan. That is right, I am back recalling all the major moments that happened during the Dragon Ball community during 2018. Hey, future Buckarot here, just letting you know this video will be the first half of 2018, second half of the video will be released at a later date, but I'll explain more about that at the end of the video. If you're new here, there's a playlist on the top right hand corner, which details events from 2010 to 2017. Now let's continue on from where we left off. Kicking off 2018, we got Dragon Ball Z Kai the final chapters on episode 46, or what Wikipedia would call it, episode 144, because they're insane. And the Dragon Ball Super dub is on episode 45, where we have more of Brian Drummond as Copy Vegeta, followed along with the main Dragon Ball Super anime on episode 122, where Universe 7 is fighting Universe 11. Not to mention we have a new anime ending theme with Lagrima by 1 Pixel, which I want to point out ended up spoiling a transformation in the end. In mid-January, we got the Dragon Ball FighterZ open beta. In my last video, I said the previous beta had some server issues, but I could be confusing it with this one. But needless to say that people were worried about how the actual online functionality was going to work when the final game would be released, which was pretty soon. And this beta is known for having the infamous quote from Goku saying, "Gohan, you've gotten a whole lot stronger." That makes me proud. Finally. Also, in my research, I found Lythero's first Fighters video, and this was way before the shenanigans took over. Around the same time, we got Vegeta's new godly transformation. At the time, we didn't know what it was called. It was either Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan 2, Super Vegeta Blue, or even Royal Blue. But later on, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution was the official name that was given to Dragon Ball heroes, and also stated by the directors and producers of the series. Also on January, we got our first Toyotaro tried to draw illustration, which reminder is a monthly series where he would draw a random Dragon Ball character, usually outside of the Dragon Ball Super Sphere. So this month he drew the lost but not forgotten character, Launch. The caption below states, "Launch son, where are you now? Dragon Ball's still going on, so come out quick." Meanwhile, the manga's on chapter 32, where Kappa is trying to recruit Caulifla into the tournament, and Kale has a bit more a different personality than her anime counterpart, where she's a little bit more confident, and it's suggested that she's naturally stronger than Caulifla. This is also the same chapter where they recruit Frieza, and we get a slight rendition of the Resurrection F arc from the manga's perspective, because remember, the Dragon Ball Super manga skipped over that arc. And we see Gohan in a different costume, where he's wearing the same clothes that he used to wear when he trained with Piccolo. The manga also skipped the Goku vs Frieza fight, which bummed a lot of people out that were reading the manga. And also now they're off to the tournament. On Dragon Ball Super episode 124, we got Gohan sacrificing himself against Dispo. So anyone who had theories that Gohan would be the Iron Man of the tournament and go Blanco, that was all dead in the water. As we move on, let me remind you of something. Remember the Dragon Ball in full color manga? Because all of a sudden it stopped at the end of the Frieza arc, and for some reason Viz Media never translated the rest after that. So a year after the last volume was released, a fan asked when is the next arc going to be released, and Viz Media actually replied to them saying, "Dragon Ball Full Color has not been cancelled, or rather each arc is licensed separately from one another, so we do not have any news to report on the Cell and Buu arcs." And now it has been over 7 years since this tweet has been made, so either they stopped trying, or Shueisha is being stingy and saying no, or just maybe both, but we can all agree that the people who own the rights to the Dragon Ball license, they really hate money. Now we're on January 26th, as Dragon Ball FighterZ has been finally released, and the collector's edition comes with this really cool statue of Goku, which is definitely the best one they have done so far, and I really love the fact that it has the Dragon Ball FighterZ logo on it, which really increases the novelty of the statue, and it comes with a steel cover as well as some art cards. And if you pre-order either physically or digitally, you would have received early unlocks for Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, and Vegeta. And what else can I say for Dragon Ball FighterZ other than it was just a straight banger? It was objectively one of the best Dragon Ball games to be released, if not one of the best fighting games to be revealed, and it has a bunch of accolades to its name, which not a lot of Dragon Ball games have that. Plus we had the Super Saiyan showdown between Sabat and Schemmel, where they fought each other with the characters that they voiced, and a rare instance of Vegeta beating Goku. And Dragon Ball Super is on episode 125, where Toppo transforms into his destroyer form and bullies Frieza. It's January 31st, and a JP version of Dokkan is having its 3rd year anniversary. This time players are gambling on the LR, Goku, and Vegeta intelligence and physical units. Global will see the same characters for their anniversary as well. On February, we got our first Super Dragon Ball Heroes chapter of the year, where you have Goten appear as a time patroller. How he's still not as Universe 2 DLC is beyond me. You also get Super Saiyan 4 Zeno Vegeta, and also later on Gogeta appears. The Dark Shenron is used to make Mecha Kibura, the antagonist, young again, but the Supreme Kai of Time stops him by transforming and sacrificing herself. Again, why isn't this form a DLC character? Next up is Dragon Ball Super episode 126, where we have Vegeta using his final explosion in his Super Saiyan Blue evolution form against Toppo and somehow survives, and also Toppo is limited. The next episode episode is where we learn about Jiren's backstory and how he wants to use the Dragon Ball's wish to return his master back to life. And this is where audiences switched up on Jiren's character and realized he's just a walking cliche. And this is the episode where Android 17 self-destructs and we all thought he died. On February 12th, Black Panther has been released in cinemas, and fans were quick to note that Michael B. Jordan's character, Killmonger, is wearing a uniform that is reminiscent of Vegeta's outfit. It hasn't been outright confirmed, but Michael B. Jordan has come out and said that it was maybe inspired because both him and the director of the film are anime fans. A few days later, the Dragon Ball Super Twitter account announced a new VA for Bulma after the unfortunate passing of Hiromi Suru. The role has been passed down to Aya Hisakawa. Her first performance as Bulma will be in a Japanese cleaning product commercial that will come out in a few days after this announcement. Before we move on to the next Dragon Ball Super key moment, V-Jump and Bandai Namco have yet again spoiled another transformation, this time revealing the Mastered Ultra Instinct form for Xenoverse 2, which obviously in hindsight this is a stupid marketing decision, especially with how close this transformation is going to be revealed in the anime. Like literally on the next episode of Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta loses to Jiren and passes the energy onto Goku, and the episode ends with Goku unleashing Ultra Instinct, and in the next episode preview we see a tease of Mastered Ultra Instinct. For February's Toyotaro Try to Draw, we have an older version of King Chappa along with Oob. The translation in the text bubble say, "You are certainly gifted. How about entering the next Tenkaichi Budokai?" Huh? Me? And the text below says, "It's King Chappa, what I think he looks like now. Maybe King Chappa was the one who trained Oob until he turned 10. Their clothes look similar, so I kind of figured that they came from the same region." This is honestly some great headcanon lore and puts into perspective of how Oob may have gone past preliminaries in the tournament, but would Chappa be pissed off that Oob switched masters to the guy that beat him? Well, on Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 33, the Tournament of Power begins, and it feels way more grounded than the anime, that's all I'm gonna say. And hey, it's the 2018 Crunchyroll Awards, aka the My Hero Sweep Awards. And Dragon Ball Super was nominated for Best Continuing Series, and Christopher Sabat won the Industry Icon Award. If I remember correctly, this is the one where he purposely elongated his award speech.
An ARC system works for making sure the DBZ game is the one that all the fans deserved and the world needed. To Sean Schemmel for letting me destroy him in that game a few weeks ago. To Adidas, if you're really making those Dragon Ball Z shoes. To Donald Schultz and Stephen Hoff for making Overtron work. The cable person who showed up the right time for his appointment. And the person who invented chocolate donuts and coffee. Thank you.
Adrian Brody wishes he was him. So after learning about Jiren's backstory, the El Hermano memes really defined the character, more so that he's the one that killed their parents and master, just like Sasuke and Itachi's relationship, but still solidified him in the Dragon Ball meme Hall of Fame. Now Xenoverse 2 has a new update and DLC. There's some new achievements and trophies, the Limit Burst feature, but yes, to anyone that played Xenoverse 2 after this date, this wasn't a function in the base game. And Extra Pack 2 includes Jiren, Android 17, Goku, Mastered Ultra Instinct, and Fu, which I'm now realizing we got Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku before the anime, and this is such a weird marketing strategy, but it's also cool to see that Fu will be in the game, as his last appearance was in Dragon Ball Online, and he was a baby. The new update will allow any Saiyan create a character transform into Super Saiyan Blue, and not to mention the best part of this DLC pack is that we can take our instructor and go through different paths in alternate timelines and see different interactions, like what me and a lot of people hoped that the main story would have been like. Plus it was kind of funny seeing the dubbing cast go off script, which I'm assuming Bandai or whoever was translating for them gave them an older script draft. On March 1st, we got Dragon Ball Online's global launch, which is another W for game preservation. I also believe this is Shoyoumomo's first FighterZ video as well, with Captain Falcon joining Dragon Ball FighterZ. On the next day, we got Dragon Ball Super Manga Volume 5. There's nothing much included here, other than Pilaf trying to make his own time machine so he can go through his own future arc. On March 4th, we got Vegeta's epic speech to Goku while talking smack to Belmont, and here we have finally reached Mastered Ultra Instinct. On March 9th, we got Lythero's first shenanigans video.
Gotta bring this Goku to the fucking moon. Oh my god.
And a few days later, we got a promotional poster for the new Dragon Ball Super movie, with Goku holding his power pole and a completely different art style, as well as the date for the movie's release, and we have a statement from Toriyama about the film. Now we're on the second last episode of Dragon Ball Super. Master Ultra Instinct Goku gets the upper hand on Jiren until it backfires on him and strains and incapacitates Goku's body, so it looks like Jiren is gonna win until we see the return of Frieza and Android 17, who didn't die after all. In my head, I was just wondering how are they gonna conclude the finale when we still have 4 people left on stage and we have yet to unveil the wish, as well as anything else that might come afterwards. Also worth pointing out that this episode did break Crunchyroll. again. And around this time, Toyotaro is back in Europe, specifically in Germany, doing the autograph signing of Goku wearing lederhosen. On March 20th, we got an animated teaser for the new Dragon Ball Super movie, and there's this crazy new art style by Shintani, and I swear to God, this is where majority of the fans switched up on Yonemomo's artwork in favor of this new animation style, and also everyone wanted to know who was that Saiyan at the end. The most popular theory was that was Yamoshi. Also on the same day, we got the Google Games Dev Conference, and this is where Dragon Ball Legends was announced. So we learned it's a new Dragon Ball mobile game, and it's mainly PvP focused, and it will feature a totally original character that was designed by Toriyama, which we will later learn that his name is Shallot, and he's an ancient Saiyan. For this month's Toyotaro tried to draw, we have this depiction of Tambourine. He says in the caption below, "It's Tambourine." In the anime, he has the same voice as Frieza, Ryusei Nakao, one of my favorite voice actors. Furthermore, I do want to add that both characters did kill Krillin. Now let's return back to the manga as we're on chapter 34, where Krillin and Tien get eliminated by Frost, which I cannot stress how lame that was, and Frieza ends up portraying Frost. Also, Universe 9 gets erased. Now the Dragon Ball Super dub is on episode 56, where we have this iconic line from Trunks.
This is for everyone you've killed! Ain't lead, murderer! Hold your fire! This man isn't black!
And now finally on March 25th, we got the finale for Dragon Ball Super, which may or may not have had some not so legal events to celebrate this occasion, where we have Goku, Frieza, and number 17 face off against Jiren, and they succeeded with the power of trust, leaving Android 17 in the tournament and making the wish to bring every universe back. We truly also learned that the Grand Zenos foresaw that outcome, but would have erased the winning universe if they had made a selfish wish. And we also see Whis is the one that restores Frieza back to life, and we have an Easter egg standoff between Frieza and the characters that participated in the Namek arc. We get a little tease of what happened after the tournament, as well as Frieza re-establishing his empire, and it ends with Goku and Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue forms. Goku admits that he can no longer tap into Ultra Instinct, and it ends with them doing their Saiyan Saga poses. And this is such an awesome finale that actually convinced me that Dragon Ball Super would return straight away after the Broly movie would come out, which reminder, that was 7 years ago. And to end off March, FighterZ gets its first DLC as we have Broly Z and Bardock accompanied with their own dramatic finishes, and a what if finish for Bardock. It was a little weird that these characters were DLC of all things, considering that they were included in other titles, but it was kind of worth it. Now we got more news about the new Dragon Ball Super movie, and it's a crossover with Precure Superstars, which will answer the age-old question, who's more super between Son Goku and Precure Yell? Okay, yeah, this is an April Fool's prank. Of course, Dokkan got in with their own prank by changing it into a dating sim called Dolly Battle, where the idea is that you can date the female Dragon Ball characters. Obviously, this didn't happen, but this update allowed the female units to be able to Dokkan awaken. On April 6th, this is supposedly the last chapter for the Dragon Ball Fusions manga, but again, I have not seen any translations or even regular screenshots from it, so I can only assume it's about the same as the actual game's ending. We also got the first chapter of the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Universe Mission, where we see Fuse manga debut, and we also got Time Patrol Goku versus the Goku from the Dragon Ball Super timeline. And the weird thing is that the manga wasn't fan translated at the time, so I remember a lot of people just came out and looked at screenshots and gaslighted everyone into thinking that Super Saiyan Blue Goku won. I have no idea where they came up with that conclusion. Also, those poses are straight up from Xenoverse 2. Basically, the following week, we got a new update on the licensing deal for Dragon Ball and the West due to how successful it had been in the last 12 months, so now we would receive more merchandise, which just goes to show how big the brand is outside of Japan, if only they'd learned from that. On April 21st, the Dragon Ball Super manga is on chapter 35. We have Goku's first attempt at fighting Jiren, and then Hit takes him on, and he even takes off his waistcoat and tries to use his new technique, which he ended up failing and losing. Also around this time, Kagi went on his live stream and announced that he'll be playing Shallot in Dragon Ball Legends, which was so crazy to learn at the time, considering how he started off as a content creator making videos with Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi, and now he's actually part of the games. And this month's Toyotaro tried to draw, it's the Man-Wolf from the OG tournament, you know, the one that Jackie Chun cured. The caption below states, "It's Man-Wolf. Drawing the wolf fighters from Universe 9, I started wanting to draw him. I wonder if he had any success on picking up girls after becoming human." Well, that's a one-shot series idea if I've ever seen one. To end off April, there are these new grand collabs, animated by talented creators, and they were definitely something.
Wishes, goodbye.
Wait. I'd like a Diet Pepsi, please.
You.
On May 2nd, this is the last Super Dragon Ball Heroes Demon Realm mission chapter of the year, which I know is very confusing considering I just talked about Universe Mission, and it's stated on Kanzenshi.com that this was originally chapter 10 in serialization. But to explain, it's right now on a pause so that they can focus on Universe Mission, and here we see that the Dark Mask King is actually King Vegeta, who would have guessed. Bardock uses a damaged Timebreaker mask so he can turn into Super Saiyan 3, and Paragus stabs King Vegeta, and supposedly they all die. Also on this day, this is the second volume of Super Dragon Ball Heroes Demon Realm Mission, and luckily I was able to get this. It has a small bonus story from the characters from Charisma Mission, and unfortunately I do not have the volume after this. Hello, we're going to be doing another impromptu card pack opening. I think I know what the card is. It might be that guy over there. Let's see what it is. I wonder if I decrease the value of these cards whenever I open it from... There you go. And... yay, it is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Those are all of his stats right there. I can't wait to be able to use this in the Dragon Ball Super Divers machines, unless they remove that backwards compatibility. During this time, it was the first ever KameHa Con, an unofficial Dragon Ball event in the US. Not only fans and content creators attended the event, but the actual cast from the sub and dub too. And I recall Geekdom 101 was the person who helped with the hosting and organizing the event. I also remember prior to the event that there was some drama around Peter Calamus, if you don't know, that is Goku from the Ocean dub, and Schemmel. What happened was initially Calamus was set for what I recall was the Goku panel, but something happened where he got kicked off and Schemmel was added, and this sparked a fuss that Schemmel kicked him off, but it turned out it was a really big misunderstanding from both Calamus and the organizers, and in the end both of them were able to attend the convention, so there is a good ending after all. On May 7th, Dragon Ball Legends was released early for like the Netherlands region, so in order to not feel left out, some of us used VPNs on our phones and actually downloaded it, and it was sure fun playing a Dragon Ball PvP with an original story about the Amnesiac Shallot. And the day before Dragon Ball Legends' original release, there is the Dragon Ball Z web-based online game Bucchigiri Match. It was a Japanese exclusive gacha game that is no longer available. Also, Dragon Ball FighterZ gets its first raid mode, with Frieza as its first raid boss. And for May's Dragon Ball Super manga release, Ribrian claims that Krillin is attractive, and Beerus thought that she was attractive too. What was Toyotaro smoking when he was making this arc? Now we got our 6th illustration for Toyotaro tried to draw, and it's Tapion, the first movie character to make it on this list. He says below, it's not a character from the original comic, but here's Tapion. I simply find him cool, and I like him a lot. You know, I'd love to see him play in a bigger role, if not in the comic, then in a game or something. Speaking of Toyotaro, around this time there was this V-Jump magazine cover featuring Goku next to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V's protagonist. Toyotaro would later share a rough draft of that illustration. Fans were quick to point out that Goku's pose was similar to Captain America in that one comic panel, and people were claiming that Toyotaro traced Captain America. I mean, the images do slightly line up, and when it's drawn digitally, you can easily transform and warp the lines. Toyotaro ended up deleting the tweet. However, the original artist was aware of this. He didn't seem too unhappy about it, but this also caused people to create a lot of doubt on Toyotaro's work, especially with the way he's been handling the TOP arc, which doesn't get better from here. On May 25th, I believe it was the finals for the Dragon Ball FighterZ Combo Breaker tournament, and the winner was Sonic Fox. I don't know much by esports, but I know this guy's a legend when it comes to the fighting game genre. A couple days later, Robot Chicken makes their first Dragon Ball Z skit in around a decade, with Piccolo being raided by Child Protective Services. And to end off May, we got Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta and Merge Zamasu in Dragon Ball FighterZ, accompanied with 2 dramatic finishes. Not to mention that Beerus' Hakai finisher does work on Merge Zamasu, and the way that they handle Vegeta's final Kamehameha would be referenced in future projects. Also during this time, it was behind the Voice Actor Awards, and so Funimation had some nominees and winners for both Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapters. And now the second Super Dragon Ball Heroes Universe Mission manga chapter has been released, and here we have the debut of Cumber, an evil berserk Goku, Oolong being there, which is a major difference from the anime counterpart, and even Golden Cooler in the manga chapter, which I'm now realizing Toyotaro had yet to illustrate Golden Frieza at this point. That's the first actual W that Cooler has on his little brother. We also got the 6th volume for the Dragon Ball Super manga, where the alt cover contains one of the rare times where Piccolo is wearing a different uniform, and we get more art corrections by Toriyama. On June 7th, this is what I believe to be Mondo Cool's first Dragon Ball fan manga video. If you don't know who he is, he does read-alongs of Dragon Ball Doujin, so it gives audiences a chance to check out these fan projects or give something to engage with if or when Dragon Ball Super comes back. Now, at this point, it is E3 season. There's no new Dragon Ball game, but we did end up getting a teaser announcement for Jump Force, and I can't believe so many of us got excited for this. I very embarrassingly teared up watching it for whatever reason. Maybe it was the idea that my favorite franchise is going to cross over with some of the other modern anime that I've been watching, but we'll talk more about that once we reach the 2019 video. On June 15, Conan O'Brien plays Dragon Ball Legends on his show, and it was just kind of funny to see Yamcha get hit with strays on mainstream media.
Bitch ass Yamcha.
Wait, so that's you. You're the
I got
guy in
the
the
orange. His name's
Okay.
Yamcha. He sucks at fighting.
His name's Yamcha?
Yeah, Yamcha.
Yamcha!
For this month's Toyotaro Try to Draw, it's another movie character, and it is Janemba from Fusion Reborn. Here it states in the caption, "It's Janemba. In advance of the latest movie opening in December, perhaps I'll go on drawing movie characters for the most part." Now we're on chapter 37 of the Dragon Ball Super manga, where we have Frieza bullying the Universe 6 Saiyans. We finally see what Golden Frieza looks like in the manga. We also learned that Kale has been hiding her strength on purpose, and when she goes berserk, she ends up bullying Frieza way before Broly did, and the chapter ends with Kale's power worryingly increasing. At this point in time, it was announced that 3 Dragon Ball Z movies would be re-released into theaters. These were Bardock the Father of Son Goku, the legendary Super Saiyan, and Fusion Reborn. I believe when this was announced, no one really thought too much about them, but as soon as we got more news about the new Dragon Ball Super movie, it did help us figure out what exactly they were teasing us with these re-releases. And on June 23rd, we got the finale for Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapters. So that's another series that ended in 2018. A couple days later, Mega 64 brought us cinema again as they gave us the Cell Saga in 5 minutes.
I am perfection! Oh!
And from June 29th to July 1st, it is the 2018-2019 Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour event, with Kazunoku coming up on top. On July 1st, we got the debut of Super Dragon Ball Heroes web anime. It premiered at Aeon Laketown, which is a shopping mall in Koshigaya, Saitama, and it's the anime debut of Fu. And we have the animated version of Goku vs. Goku, which helped solidify to a large majority of fans that Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan Blue are different transformation paths. On July 9th, we got the unbelievable news that the antagonist for the new Dragon Ball Super movie is Broly. We got a tease of what he would look like from the poster, and this alone changed the whole discourse of what is canon and what isn't, because this definitely is not the same Broly that we know from the original movies. Next up, Piccolo reveals his new mastery status in the Dragon Ball Super dub.
Piccolo, you gotta try this! Come on, join us! Eat something!
I'm grilling. Do not interrupt the grill master.
Also, this is the same episode where Hit says this.
Now then, it's time for me to make the donuts.
If you're wondering why he says this line, it's because it's a quote he says in Xenoverse 2.
Time to make the donuts.
Would you know, it's kind of funny. However, this sparked some unnecessary outrage. Fans unessentially comparing it to Team 4-Star, while some did find the humor in it. And in my opinion, because Dragon Ball Super wasn't simul-released like a lot of the other anime that Funimation was putting out, I did feel like the company sometimes tried to be different for the sake of fans who've already watched the sub version to have a reason to rewatch these episodes in dub. And honestly, it's a filler episode anyway, so who really cares?
That an anime expert would like to speak with him. Because it doesn't make any sense, Linda. God, Linda, you don't get it! I'm gonna have to fix this on Twitter.
And now it's Jump Victory Carnival. We have an illustration of the Broly movie by Toyotaro. We also got a bonus chapter about Trunks and Goten patrolling 17's island, and here we learned that Cell Juniors were living there and that Android 17 has basically tamed them. Not to mention we got our first look at Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, which shocked a lot of us because for one, this was a fan demanded form for like decades. Also, we didn't expect him to have black hair. Now I just miss when we had surprises like this. Thank you Dragon Ball Super Divers for giving us nothing. And that is the first half of Dragon Ball in 2018, which I just want to add, I did not mean to take 2 months to make this video. Originally, I was trying to make my I watched one episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai a day video, but unfortunately there was a lot of issues when it came to creating it, and honestly, I just felt unconfident with the whole video. So I'm shelving that idea for a future date, and for why I'm only uploading part 1 of this video, well, the whole Dragon Ball in 2018 would have been 14 minutes plus, and looking at my YouTube stats, videos that are above 35 minutes long usually don't do as well. Like the viewer retention on those longer videos will be about 5 to 10% less than my usual videos, and those videos take a while for me to make, and YouTube does not like inconsistent uploaders, so hopefully this is good enough. And it's easier for me to proof check shorter videos. Like the last video I made had a few editing issues, and this is just Premiere Pro being bad at saving my corrections, and re-rendering a 35-minute plus video on Premiere Pro ain't fun. And if you're new to editing, I recommend something like DaVinci Resolve. As for part 2's release, all the audio has been recorded. I just need to gather all the footage and everything else and put it all together, and it's done. But if you just want to listen to the video, I have the video uploaded in the description below, so in case you want to listen to it like a podcast or something. And that is it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button to help support the channel. And if you know anything obscure that happened in the second half of 2018, please sure to comment down below. And yeah, see ya next time.